and this here may be tough to you. Snack cake to me, yeah, more hostess. This been overdue forever. Asked me when it was dropping, said never. Should've made you cut the feta, but I designed it Freemason Margiela.
What's goody, Shellitronnn here, the most woke, no joking. I'm back again with a brand new video, and I'm gonna keep it a Bowberry biscuit. This video was not something I actually planned on making. This video is more for you guys in the comment section right now who are typing out, yes, finally, he's gonna address it. Finally, after 3 weeks of commenting the same things on every single video, and I do mean every single video. It did not matter if it was a video on offense, a video about defense, a highlight video about Cam Newton, or a video of the team hiring a backup linebackers coach. I got the same questions in literally every single comment section of every single video I've uploaded over the last several weeks. And you've already seen the thumbnail and the title of this video already, so you know what I'm talking about. 2 questions that come up regularly are, should the Panthers trade for Antonio Brown this offseason? Or should the Panthers try to pick up Earl Thomas in free agency? Wait. I actually just lied to you there. Hold up. These weren't questions I was getting in my comments. These were people telling me for a fact, simple. The Panthers need to trade for Antonio Brown this offseason, and the Panthers need to pick up Earl Thomas in free agency. I guess the simplest concept in the world, and why hasn't anyone in the Panthers organization in the front office already made these moves? Like, it's such a simple thing to do. Why hasn't it been done? And I tried approaching these 2 topics a number of different ways. At first, I tried responding to every single one of those comments and giving my thoughts on them every time it came up. But then, I mean, the comments kept coming every single video, and it got kind of tiring to answer the same people over and over again. Then I decided, you know what, let me just go ahead and just ignore the comments. And if you guys in the comments want to talk about it amongst yourselves, that'd be cool. And then I started seeing comments of, I don't care how much I have to say this, I'm gonna keep saying this and asking and telling you this until you make a video on it, until you actually talk about this topic. I tried to just touch on these things a couple times and not get too deep into it. But apparently, I gotta go ahead and do it. But at least going forward, if I see any more of those questions or statements or whatever, I can just go ahead and link them to this video. Or if you guys want to be cool and you see those kind of questions, you guys can link them to this video so I don't have to. But I'm gonna go ahead and tackle both those topics right here in this video. Let's get into it right now. I'll start off with the harder of the 2 topics, maybe actually the easier, but the more, I guess, deep of the 2 topics, and that's Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is arguably the best receiver in the NFL right now. We can talk about Julio Jones or Odell Beckham Jr. There's a couple other names you can throw in there for the very, very, very productive, great receivers. But I think those 3 names make up the elite class of the NFL right now. Antonio Brown could even be considered one of the best receivers of all time. I mean, the way this guy racks up records is something immaculate. But that's not the only thing Antonio Brown racks up. He racks up headlines, he racks up headaches, and he might just be a head case. If you watch his IG lives at any point, you don't have to watch all of them. You don't have to watch 2 of them. Watch 1 of them. I won't use this time to speak too much on it, but if you watch it or you've seen any of it on YouTube, you can go to your own conclusions about Antonio Brown. But I won't get into his off-the-field stuff right now. I think that most of his issues in Pittsburgh were with Ben Roethlisberger, and if you are an open-minded, even slightly open-minded individual, you can understand why Antonio Brown might have a problem with the way that Ben Roethlisberger manages and, I guess, carries himself both on and off the field, specifically off the field, but we'll stay on topic here. The biggest difference between Antonio Brown and Earl Thomas, besides the positions they play, is that one is a free agent and one is still in contract with his team. And it's going to take us giving up something to pick up Antonio Brown. But there's a little bit of a positive and the negative side of getting Antonio Brown. And that's that he's made it so obvious that he cannot and will not be a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room this upcoming season. But that in a certain number of ways, he's tanked his trade value for a lot of teams because teams are seeing, wait, we don't have to give up a first to get AB. AB's gone either way. And honestly, I mean, a second might do it. But we could probably give up a 3rd and a couple other players, or a 3rd this year, and maybe a pick in 2020. We don't have to give up the farm to actually pick up Antonio Brown, especially when you consider that you're going to have to pay the man what his contract's going to be, unless he actually restructures for you, which I don't see that happening. This is what I think would be the most realistic trade option for the Panthers, and I really would not go much higher than this. Our first 3rd round pick of the draft this year, the number 77th pick, Torrey Smith, who still has 1 year left on his contract, and here's the kicker, Mario Addison. Giving up a 3rd round pick in players saves us from having to give up a 2nd round pick. And keep in mind, we do still have the number 100 pick that's also in the 3rd round, which is basically a very, very, very early 4th round pick. but still, technically a 3rd round pick. It's a comp pick for us. The pick speaks for itself, so let's go into the players here. I'll start with Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith is a decent receiver. He's very fast. He kind of got put into the doghouse. We kind of blacklisted him a little bit, kind of ignored him later on the season. His biggest problem was that although he had a pretty good start to the season, he wasn't very consistent, and honestly, it wasn't really worth taking some touches away from Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore in order to get him touches. Kind of the same thing that happened to Devin Funchess a little bit later on in the season as well. But looking at the Steelers roster right now, they have 3 receivers who are going to be free agents. You want to be able to get another receiver back in any trade that takes away Antonio Brown, because obviously that's going to be a total of 4 guys potentially leaving. It's only going to be a $5 million cap hit for them. That's a pretty good trade-off there. And with an over-the-top kind of receiver, that might take away a little bit of the pressure from Juju Smith-Schuster, who will be the #1 receiving option for next year. They have some pretty good tight ends. But I think that Torrey Smith could fit pretty well in that Steelers locker room. And then you think about the Steelers defense, Mario Addison would fit very well there. Now, the Steelers do run a 3-4 defense, and they have guys who just produce all over the place. But the thing to note about their defense is all 3 positions on their defensive line have a backup who's going to be a free agent this year. Latarius Walton, Daniel McCullers, and Tyson Alulo. I cannot say that name again. I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, my brother. But what's happening here is they have 3 very good starters in Cameron Hayward, Javon Hargrave, and Stephon Tuitt. And Stephon Tuitt actually puts in very comparable numbers to Mario Addison. I mean, 45 combined tackles, 5.5 sacks. Mario Addison could probably take his job, and the Steelers could have a really good, two-way threat there at defensive end with him and Stephon Tuitt. I think he could really do some big work in the 3-4, especially considering who their stand-up guys are, who their pass-rushing guys are in that scheme, who are probably going to get a lot more attention than him on the line. And honestly, Mario Addison is more of a cleanup sack kind of guy than produce his own sack and pursuit kind of guy. He's more of a one guy flushes the quarterback out this way and he's coming out the other way, a supporting role kind of sack getter. And that's not a bad thing. I'm saying that actually work a lot better for the Steelers in a lot of ways. And I think the team going to a 3-4, 4-3 kind of attack here would open the floodgates for maybe an F.A. Abada, maybe another guy that we draft. Maybe Marquise Haynes could do a little bit more work. We have other linebackers on the team. We could maybe look at picking up another defensive end in free agency. Maybe like somewhere in the draft, pick up another solid defensive end who can get in and get out in certain situations, maybe pass situations on 3rd down. There's definitely options for us if Mario Addison were to leave. And then the added benefit of having Antonio Brown, an explosive offensive threat, who's already pretty good, very good friends with Cam Newton. They already have chemistry. That would work out for us very well. Now, going on to Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas is actually, I might say, an even bigger stretch here. Now, we know he's coming off of injury, but the guy's had 5 years as a Pro Bowler and 3 straight years from 2012 to 2014 as a first-team All-Pro kind of guy. The only issue is he only played 4 games last year, coming off of a leg injury to his left leg. And just off that, it's like, okay, whatever. I mean, a left leg injury, 4 games through the season, he should be straight by about this time-ish. I mean, right now, before OTAs, for sure, he should be straight. But the biggest thing that gives me an issue is in 2016, 11 games into the season, he suffered a season-ending injury to that same leg. So that's 2 season-ending injuries in the past 3 years. That gives me a little bit of cause to pause here. But honestly, that's not going to stop teams from trying to pursue him and pay him big bucks. The biggest thing for Earl Thomas is that paycheck. And it won't even be his fault. It'll be Eric Berry's fault, and I'll explain why. In 2017, Eric Berry signed a 6-year, $78 million contract with $40 million guaranteed, and in the very first game of the season, I think that was the game against the Patriots where they blew him out, right? Yeah, the very first game of the season in 2017, he suffered a season-ending injury. So this man's racking up money not playing. So Earl Thomas is going to look at that and say, look, this man's making this much money and he got injured. And for some reasons, I would think that Earl Thomas might try to fetch a bigger price. I don't know if he's going to get more than the $40 million guaranteed, but I think that he will get. Now, I don't know if he's going to get more than the $40 million in total guaranteed money, but he will be looking for a huge contract that with all the bonuses and whatnot might get around the same money or higher than Eric Berry. Teams are not as shy about signing guys coming off of injury. I mean, if you have a glaring need somewhere and there's talent there, a lot of these GMs are willing to risk it. But Earl Thomas' situation is a very confusing one because it brings up the question of how do you structure up his contract? The best kind of contract I can see the Panthers giving him would be a 4-year deal with a team option after the 3rd season, maybe $65, $70 million. but only $32 million guaranteed, but with a lot of his money being held up in bonuses. I'm talking about a workout bonus that gives him a certain amount of money per game started, or I guess per game suited up, where he can earn money for just being healthy and getting into games. Bonuses for performance. I'm looking at his stats right now and I'm seeing that he's never gotten more than 5 interceptions in a season. So maybe have like a bonus for getting 6+, 7+ interceptions in a season. He's never had more than 1 pick 6 in a season, so maybe more bonuses there for 2+, 3+ pick 6s in a season. Maybe more like 2. I mean, it's really hard to get pick 6s as a free safety. You don't have opportunities to pick off, screens and that kind of stuff, quick slants, that kind of thing. So you're not really in the mix like all of that, like a corner would be. Obviously, things like being first team All-Pro, being a Pro Bowler, and those are benchmarks that you just would want to give a guy for obtaining. I mean, if he's a Pro Bowler or a first team All-Pro, that means he obviously had a huge impact on your team. So the man would deserve more money. Stacking up money for him in performance-based bonuses and health-based bonuses, and giving the man, 30, 35-ish guaranteed would not be all that bad. I know he's looking for a bag, and I know there's going to be other teams who are going to be even more desperate than us. So I'm not thinking that we could actually land him, because there's going to be teams who are going to be throwing money at him, hand over fist, just shoveling money at him. Backing up the Brinks truck for this man, realistically, I don't see it happening, but if it could happen, I think the structure of the contract that I laid out is probably the smarter move. We have a couple guys who will be coming off their contract here the next couple years who will be looking to get paid as well. But if Earl Thomas hits and is a production monster, I mean, paying the man should be no problem. That's how I feel about it. But realistically, I don't see the team pulling the trigger on either one of these guys. And I'll have videos coming up soon talking about guys that I think the team actually would pull the trigger on, and guys who really wouldn't have that big of a drop-off in talent, but they would have a big drop-off in the money that they would be expecting, and the money that we could actually give them would be a much better fit for the team. Look out for those videos coming up in March. I want to get all the free agency and draft stuff after the combines concluded and whatnot. So watch out for those. What are your thoughts? Let me know all of them. What are your proposals, trade proposals, contract proposals? Let me know all those in the comments below. There's a way to support the channel in the description below. And you already know to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Being told y'all I been the man. Being told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.